Red Hood and the Outlaws, number 10, written by Scott Lobdell, art by Kenneth Rocafort. This is essentially a new arc. You don't really need to know much else going into it beforehand. But we got an opening page, literally no dialogue, just an opening page of Arsenal and Starfire sleeping together in bed. Arsenal's the little spoon, and a dude with an axe standing over top their bed. We'll get back to that. So then we go to down at the base of their building. We're in Miami, where Jason is on a date with that airline stewardess that he met like in issue 3 or whatever, and her name is Isabel, and they've been talking for the entire night, just getting to know each other. Of course, Jason has been lying about everything, and he's like, "Oh, all right, well, we're already at morning now, so can I call you a cab?" And she's like, "No." He's like, "Well, I got to go to bed." And he's like, "I can join you." And he's like, "No, I'm really not." And then she smooches him. And as they're going for the kiss, and he is completely disengaged with all that, he looks up and sees a giant alien beast like hurtling down towards them. Jason dives them both out of the way. He gets his Red Hood mask on, pulls out his gun, and is just like, "Stay here, I'll be back." So he unloads some shots on this alien beast, and he's like, "Dude, what was that supposed to be for? Was that supposed to hurt?" And Red Hood's like, "Hopefully." To which Isabel finally gets up and is just like, "You don't really own a dry cleaning business, do you?" And Jason's like, "No, I'm sorry." And she's like, "Whatever, guys lie." So then Starfire comes down, and she's like, "How dare you lay hands on me? Do you know who I am?" And he's like, "Yes, of course, Your Majesty. I apologize. It is I. I should have knocked. I really shouldn't have been standing over the bed. I should have knocked." To which Starfire's like, "Oh, Orn, my old friend, come here. Let me give you a hug." Arsenal finally joins in. They're like, "I'm sorry, you guys know each other?" And basically, Starfire asks, "What's going on?" And Orn says, "There's some big bad stuff going on, and only you can fix it." To which Red Hood and Arsenal are just going back and forth like, "Psh, she doesn't want to go with you. She's happy here with us. Piss off, alien guy." And Isabel's in the background just being like, "This is the worst date I've ever been on." So Starfire surprises everyone by saying, "No, it is my duty. I must go to my people. Let's go." And Orn just is planning on teleporting Starfire and himself out. But then Red Hood and Arsenal are like, "Well, if you're going to go, we're going to go with." And so they tell Orn to teleport everybody up. So everyone's now on this ship. And apparently it was super dangerous that they get teleported in whatever specific way they did. But Orn brings her inside and just gives her the rundown of like, we're in Tamaran's orbit. There's a whole bunch of bad guys around, and we need you to do your thing. So she goes inside. Meanwhile, Arsenal and Red Hood are standing outside like, "Okay, well, guess we should try to figure out what's going on." And Red Hood looks behind and realizes, "Oh, wait, Isabel was teleported up here with us." Great. So Isabel immediately is just like, "You could have just told me the truth, and like, I could have decided for myself whether or not I wanted to do that. Like, how shallow do you think I am?" And he's like, "Okay, fair enough." So we see the bridge of this ship. There's a Dominator who is currently acting as captain, but once Corey shows up, he's like, "Oh no, this is your ship. I was just keeping your seat warm." And we get the explanation here that before any of that, Red Hood storms in, says we need to send Isabel home. She says, "Sorry, can't do that." And then we just deal. So anyway, we get the laydown of the attack, and it's some giant group of starships called the Blight who came in, and they've been like laying waste to all the planets in their way, and they've come in to Tamaran's orbit. They've disabled the planet's defense shields, but they haven't actually done anything yet, and they think it's because they're waiting for Starfire. So Starfire pulls up the comms and just makes a direct contact to him and says like, "Hey, this is Starfire or Princess Coriander. Go ahead and give up now, and I promise you that you might live. Otherwise, you will die." And Red Hood and Arsenal are like, "She's so badass." And that's where we leave off. There is a backup, which I'm not going to cover in this. I'll cover it at a different point. But okay, like it's such a left turn. It's such a thing of like, all right, we were doing this thing. We were talking about like, the all cast and like how we had all these unknown things. And then it's just like, space. Now we're just doing space now. We're doing this whole story. And I don't hate it inherently. I think it's fine. I think bringing Isabel in is just like to give Red Hood and Arsenal something to do, because Starfire really feels in her element here. Like, this is the stuff she was raised for. Instead of all the fish out of water stuff down on Earth, now we flipped it, and I'm okay with that. My only issue is that if we want a fish out of water story, you could just keep it at Red Hood and Arsenal. You didn't need a fish out of water to accompany the 2 other fishes out of water, if that makes any sense. Isabel just feels superfluous right now. If she does something great, cool, I'll take it. But right now she just feels like, oh, we need some regular person to show how crazy all this space stuff is. And I'm like, no, that's what Arsenal and Red Hood are. They're just guys, good with bows and guns. So it's okay. It's perfectly fine. Very short because of the backup, but it's fine. So I'll go ahead and give it a 6.5. It's art-wise, it's good. Like, I do like the art throughout. It does a great job. We're introduced to this one character named, everyone here has names. The guy on the captain's chair named DePaulo. There's another Tamaranian named Kitten, which I think is just supposed to be pronounced kitten. But regardless, she's got this cool haircut going on. Everyone's got names. Kenneth Rockford does a great job drawing them. It's one of those things where it still feels like we're supposed to be dropped in the middle of this and not know what's going on, and will be explained it later. I'm hoping that's the case, because if we're never actually explained it later, and this was supposed to be the explanation, I'm going to be very upset, because there's not really much of an explanation in here. Yes, we do get a brief little summary of what's happening, but you need to pace it a bit slower, bud. But for this particular issue, not worrying about the future, 6.5.